Dr. Naomi Sinclair moved with urgency, her sneakers striking the polished tiles of the hospital parking garage like a drumbeat. The text she'd received had been brief but unmistakable. Critical patient. Emergency surgery. This was her life. Pressure. Speed. Precision. She was used to navigating chaos with calm authority, used to being the one in charge when everything seemed to fall apart. But as she neared the entrance to Westbridge Memorial Hospital, her laser focus shattered. An arm blocked her path. "Excuse me, ma'am," came a deep, stern voice. She halted inches from the glass doors. A tall security guard, broad-shouldered, with a badge reading J. Maddox, stood in front of her. His stance was firm, his expression unreadable. Naomi's pulse, already racing from urgency, now beat faster for a different reason. "Is there a problem?" she asked, voice calm but clipped. His eyes scanned her from head to toe. Navy scrubs, ID badge clipped to her coat, stethoscope peeking from her pocket. Her posture was confident, familiar with these halls. But something in his gaze hardened. "Visiting hours are over," he said, unmoving. Naomi exhaled, annoyance prickling beneath her skin. "I'm Dr. Sinclair, Chief of Cardiothoracic Surgery. I need to get inside now." Maddox's brow lifted, skepticism flashing across his face. He glanced at her ID badge, but instead of stepping aside, he hesitated. "I haven't seen you before." Naomi tightened her grip on her badge. "I don't have time for this. A patient is coding." She attempted to step around him, but Maddox shifted, once again blocking her path. "Hold on. I need to verify this." Her frustration surged. "Verify what? My ID is right here. My face. My name. My title. What else do you need?" "We have protocols," he said, jaw tightening. Naomi took a slow breath, forcing herself to remain composed. But the familiarity of the moment was maddening. She had seen other doctors walk through unbothered. Why was she the anomaly? Behind the glass doors, the emergency unit buzzed with movement. Her team, Dr. Marcus Lee, Dr. Simone Avery, and Dr. Jacob Reyes, stood at the front desk, clearly waiting. Marcus noticed her, eyes narrowing as he tapped the glass, and mouthed urgently, "We need you. Dr. Sinclair, we need you in here now." Marcus called, his voice muffled through the door. Maddox turned his head, but remained planted. Naomi seized the moment to move forward. "Step aside," she ordered, voice steely. Maddox's hand hovered near his radio. But the doors opened and Marcus stepped out. "What the hell is going on?" he demanded. Maddox opened his mouth, but Marcus cut him off. "She's the lead surgeon on a critical case. Let her through." Something shifted in Maddox's expression, recognition, maybe guilt. He stepped back. "I was just checking." "Then check faster," Marcus snapped. Naomi didn't look back. She rushed through the doors, adrenaline now mixed with anger. Inside, a nurse handed her the surgical report. "Patient is prepped. We were waiting on you, Dr. Sinclair." She nodded, scanning the document, her mind snapping into gear. "Let's go," she said, heading for the OR. Even as she scrubbed in, the moment outside clawed at the edges of her focus. She'd been stopped before, but tonight it had almost cost a life. The operating room fell into a focused silence, the monitors beeping steadily. Naomi made the first incision, her movements fluid, practiced. The scalpel danced with careful precision. "Vitals stabilizing," Jacob reported. She nodded. Moving into phase 2. Simone adjusted the retractor. The team worked in perfect rhythm. But Naomi's thoughts drifted. If she'd been delayed just minutes longer. "We're closing," she said, hand steady. The final sutures went in. The procedure was a success. Another life saved. Yet Naomi felt no relief. Only exhaustion. As she peeled off her gloves, Jacob patted her back. Another miracle. She managed a nod, but her face was tight. The fury hadn't left her. "You okay?" Jacob asked. "Not really." They walked together toward the lounge. "You don't have to say it," he murmured. "I do," she replied, rubbing her temples. "Because if I don't, it festers. Want to file a complaint?" She laughed, bitter. "And say what?" That a black woman surgeon was stopped again? And next week, someone else will be. Jacob sighed. Doesn't mean it's right, but it keeps happening. They turned the corner into the break room. Maddox was there, stiff, facing Marcus. Marcus turned toward her. Dr. Sinclair, he called. Join us. Naomi approached, arms crossed. I was explaining, Marcus said, sarcasm thick, how stopping a lead surgeon during an emergency isn't protocol. It's negligence. Maddox's jaw flexed. I was following procedures. Whose procedures? Naomi asked, voice cold. I didn't recognize you. We've had imposters. I had ID. Scrubs. My name. My face. I wasn't sneaking. Maddox rubbed the back of his neck. I didn't mean disrespect. But you did, she said. He flinched. I get that now. Do you? Because while you questioned whether I belonged, someone was dying. Marcus spoke next. Would you have stopped a white man in a lab coat? Maddox didn't answer. Naomi shook her head. That's what I thought. She turned and walked away. Jacob followed. You good? Not even close. She needed to breathe. She found Simone in the locker room. Heard what happened, Simone said. Of course you did. Marcus nearly blew a fuse. Naomi laughed, short and tired. You okay? No. What do we do now? Naomi slumped onto the bench. I don't know. Complaints feel useless. Maybe not this time, Simone said. You think it'll change anything? Maybe not today. But maybe the next black doctor walks through that door without being stopped. Alan and Jacob entered. Did you talk to him? Jacob asked. If you can call it that. That man's a liability, Alan growled. We can't let it slide, Jacob added. Naomi looked at them. They were all angry with her. I'm reporting him, she said. Good, Simone nodded. We'll back you. Already started a riot in the break room, Marcus grinned. Naomi smiled for the first time. Determined. They left together. The hospital's admin office was cold and sterile. Dr. Farah Patel, the chief medical officer, sat across from Naomi. Her team flanked her like a wall. Maddox sat across the room, stiff. Dr. Sinclair, Patel said, I understand you wanted to address last night's incident. Yes. I was stopped from entering the hospital on my way to perform emergency surgery, despite having my ID and being in full scrubs. Patel turned to Maddox. Your response? I was following protocol. We've had issues. Naomi clenched her jaw, and those protocols never seemed to apply to my white colleagues. Alan leaned in. I walked through without being stopped. Simone nodded. Same here. Jacob chuckled. I walked past while he argued with Naomi. Nothing. Patel sighed. Dr. Sinclair, I don't doubt your frustration. This isn't frustration. It's fact. And it's dangerous. She continued. Every second I was delayed, my patient was at risk. Patel leaned back. What are you asking for? Naomi straightened. Accountability. Racial bias training for all security staff. A review of hiring and training practices. And a public statement from the hospital. Patel hesitated, then nodded. We'll do it. Maddox stayed silent. As they left, Simone nudged her. You did it. Naomi smiled faintly. No, we did. Drinks on me, Jacob grinned. For the first time that night, Naomi let herself breathe. This wasn't the end, but it was a start, and she wasn't alone.